All right, so this week in Pax Dei, the promotional content for the big autumn update is in full effect. We had an update earlier this week talking about the lore. Specifically, it was a creation myth or a creation story. It has some things that might allude to some of the magic that we might be seeing in the game eventually, but then more importantly and more excitingly, we got further confirmation that the autumn update is just around the corner. We will most likely be learning a date of the wipe coming very, very soon. If you're just tuning in and you're like, whoa, he just said wipe, we'll talk about it in a bit, have no worries. But we also got a glimpse at potentially one of the coolest new features that is coming to Pax Dei in the autumn update. You're going to want to see this. It is a huge quality of life improvement, I promise. And then we also got some further glimpses at map changes as well as some new spells. One of them has to be a new movement spell, possibly one that increases our movement speed. At least that's what I am hoping. But either way, we have all of that and a whole lot more to talk about. Hello and welcome, all of you professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the PAX Friday Review, the show where we talk about all of the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for Pax Dei over the last week. As I said, there is a whole heck of a lot of things that we have to cover today. And before we do any of all of that, I would just humbly ask if you could please throw us a like, subscribe if you haven't already so you can get notified whenever new content for Pax Dei comes out. We are obviously planning on a lot of new videos to come out with the autumn update, giving you tutorials on how to do things. If you haven't been playing Pax Dei recently, we'll also have some things to get you caught up coming out in the next couple of weeks too. So please do subscribe and then obviously share with any of your friends who might be interested in learning more about Pax Dei. But let's go ahead and go take a look at that first lore post, and then we'll hit all of the incredibly interesting stuff in the blog post update that came out today on Friday. I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on playpaxday.com, and the first update that came out this week was the birth of the divine and the elements of creation. Now, this is a really interesting read. We're not going to go through everything here because one of our favorite devs, specifically, well, I'm not going to share who it is exactly, but he was the auditor for this story as well. So you should definitely check that out. It's linked down below. But there were a couple of things that I kind of just wanted to share very, very briefly so that we get all to the nice, chunky information that came with the Friday update. But with that being said, there is just kind of a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First and foremost, the order to which things were created. There are 4 elements in Pax Dei. That's air, water, earth, and fire. And with those things, the divine is kind of the overarching entity, the spirit entity that kind of covers over all of those things. So it mentions the divine drawing their first breath, and from their breath was the first element that was created, that being air. And then after the air was created, you have the waters, and the water was effectively a breath of joy. Then it proceeds to talk about the creation of the earth, and that in and of itself has a kind of trend for some other creation stories that we have. But then lastly, we do have fire and how the fire of life infused everything. And one thing I find interesting about the fire in particular is that we do have a spell in game already called Pilgrim's Fire, and that is like coming from one's life essence is kind of what that sounds like with this. But either way, this is something that is best enjoyed either listening to the sultry sounds of one of the devs reading off this story, or also for your own sonorous listening pleasure. I went and created one of these awesome AI songs that is also going to be linked down below, but it is indeed a full retelling, reimagined with some new lyrics, written by yours truly. That'll be linked down there too. It is a little bit of an earworm though, so please do be warned. But that's all that we have for the birth of creation, the birth of the divine, and the elements of creation. So really cool to see that. It's going to be more awesome when we start seeing some of this lore pop up in game. And I think this is an indication that we're getting closer to that. But let's head over to the other post that we got this week and talk about that a little bit more. All right, next up to bat, we have the spotlight, how the world of Pax Dei is changing. That is what came out at the time of recording on Friday. And we got so much new information and a couple of really incredibly interesting things that I also am going to talk about here too. So first and foremost, the world is reshaping. They said that they would give us a little bit more detail as to why there is a plot wipe, why there is a player built construction wipe. That is because the world itself is reshaping. They're adding a little bit more interesting biomes. In fact, one new biome, and then they're changing the distribution of biomes across the maps as well. Another thing that they did mention, which a lot of people are going to be very happy about, is that some of the mountain ranges are lowering. Now, for me personally, I liked tall mountain ranges because it made the game feel more vast and epic. So I'll just hold my judgment on what that means for the game until we actually get to see it. But hopefully they don't decrease it too much. I think more so what they're referring to is they're making things a lot less steep so that you can climb things a little bit easier, going both up and down. That is going to be a welcome change. And it is on the note as well that jump and fall damage is going to be a little bit more predictable. They've mentioned that a couple of times. I figure they got a lot of feedback at the early onset of early access on that. But they have been adding a bunch of new interesting features to a lot of the different areas in the game right now. And they also give us a couple of images for where they're putting new roads. And they gave a couple of different maps. This one right here is I believe this is Lavadon. And specifically, there was an issue right here, and this is a current version of the map, where there's no roads going across here. And what that means is that because there are no roads, players can just straight up block this entire section off. And that's actually what we have right here. And then past that, now with the update, there is a road that's actually going to be going through that area. And with that road, it means that they will not just be able to create dams or giant walls that nobody can cross. So that is really good and reassuring to see. And these types of changes are going into effect all across the creation, not just in this very specific location in Lavadon. So really good to see. But then they also just showed us the first new biome that we're getting, and this one is called the Corrupted Plains. And we'll take a look at all of these screenshots in a little bit more detail in the analysis section coming up after this, but we're just kind of going through everything so that you can get a good breadth of all the things that were teased. Another thing that they mentioned was the new PvE progression with a couple of the different features that are coming alongside of that. We did get to see a couple of the more soloable PvE content here, and there is going to be rewards and incentives to go out to these areas. This looks like a more difficult Cult of Zeb style of soloable content. We also see a new tree that's in the background there. And then here seems to be more of a Inquisition style of these types. And then we have some images of now Inquisition that are kind of taking over some old Empire ruins and the new look that is coming with all of those. So really awesome to see all of that. And then the Lost Souls are getting kind of a gradual change here as well. So what I find cool is they are seemingly going to be around a lot more ancient style of architecture as opposed to what these are, which seem to be more like I'm going to say like mid-century, but they seem more recent than the ruins that are here. And then we also got an image down here of some of the new maps. So this update was a lot more to do with screenshots and a lot less to do with words. This is something that's incredibly exciting because there are a couple of sneak peeks that are located inside of these screenshots, and we're going to talk about those right now. So I will see you over at the screenshot section. You're not going to want to miss this. There are a couple of really important features that seem to be coming with this autumn update. All right, I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are at all of the screenshots. We are going to be going through a couple of these pretty rapidly just so that we can get through all of them. There were so many. So first up, we're going to have a couple of Lost Souls camps. This looks like to be one of those soloable PvE kind of ones. Now, what'll be interesting is what we're going to actually be able to get from these. I wonder if these barrels or anything like that are going to be lootable, or if there's going to be like one kind of thing that you can loot. This might be a way that you're able to get gold. Who knows? We know that the market is supposed to be coming hopefully in this update as well, though they haven't talked about it just yet. But also kind of really like what they're doing with the Lost Souls. It looks like there might be a little bit of a model update there. They are terrifying. They hit like trucks. Next up, they're also very difficult to see, and that I feel like is part of what makes them so terrifying, is that some of these Lost Souls you can't see them. And this is an absolutely terrifying area just because of all of the different Lost Souls that are located here. Then we have another angle at a different Lost Souls camp. And again, these are so hard to see, but just terrifying when they come out to hit you. Now, this also looks like one of the more smaller PvE kind of soloable areas. And then lastly, another one. And we saw this one in the main post as well. Okay, so next up, we have some Inquisition camps, and you can kind of see how these Inquisition camps are slightly different. Now, what I would hope for in the future, these look kind of awkward in how they work. Obviously, these are kind of just like build pieces, but whatever, I digress. So this area right here does have a couple of different camps, and you can see the new models are also there. That looks like to me like one of the catalyst types. And then we also have a couple more models that are down here. And here's another angle, and we've seen these camps before. These are ones that we're very familiar with, but they're now adding some more like battlements. Like the Inquisition has come in and now they're refortifying a position almost. But either way, looks like we're going to have a lot of new models that we are going to be able to kind of go up against. Now, I do find it interesting, their little flag emblem. It looks like it's two hands that are covering over this almost like Pax Dei like cross. And it does look like all of these have one of those pillars located in the middle of them. Here's another angle from another one. This looks like there is possibly some supplies here that you're going to be able to loot. Maybe, who knows? But another great image here as well. And I do like how they're making them feel a little bit more lived in. Now, what I would find very interesting is if eventually clans will be able to get access to these types of banners and hang up their own regalia as well. That would be super cool. And then here looks to be one of those smaller PvE like areas. And one thing I do want to mention as well is it looks like the biome transitions are becoming a lot smoother. Over here, it looks to be more meadowy like, and then over here is more scrublandy. So I do like how visually that is coming through. Then right here, we just have another angle, and here's those pillars that I was talking about as well. Now here is one that I found very, very interesting, and you might be asking why. Well, I don't know about y'all, but this looks to me like a carriage. We have not seen anything to do with horses yet, but this is a pretty solid sign that there is going to be something in the future and that Mainframe is actively thinking of it. I mean, why are you going to have a horse-drawn carriage with just no horses. Obviously, they've confirmed that they're working on horses, but this is a great sign that maybe horses are coming sooner rather than later. Maybe it's going to be something in the spring. But again, you can see those pillars off in the background as well. And here's just another angle. This is the first time that we've seen, I believe these are like the heralds maybe, judging by the fact that he's holding a hammer. But either way, I like the little plume that they have on their helmet. I'm hoping that eventually we'll be able to craft some of these because they look really, really cool. And it'd be really awesome to be able to craft those ourselves. Now, we've transitioned into the Zebian style of PvE content that's being scattered throughout the world. And this one does look like a soloable style too. Now, something that I just personally am interested in is this seems so out of place. Like there is no other area here that has these types of things here, though I do like actually seeing the white marble outside of a dungeon. I just kind of question why this exists in the middle of a field. Maybe it got teleported in from a different realm or something like that, but otherwise I don't really understand why it exists out just in the world randomly. It doesn't make sense to me right now, but maybe it will in the future. Another thing that I'm excited to see what it actually means is these trees. They kind of have been scattered around the world all the way up until this point, but we don't really know what they do. And this is also, goes without saying, this is the Cursed Plains, the new biome that's coming with the update. And here we do see the caskets that the Zebians go and stow humans in and then let the bugs come out. This is, I think, how they grow some of their infested grossnesses. And then over here we do see also, so this is called the Whispering Woods, I believe is the biome name. And these are a new type of tree that is coming with the update, or it might not be a new type of tree, but it is a really awesomely large tree. I don't think we'll be able to chop it down, at least not with the current technology tier that we have in Axes. But here is what seems to be a smaller style of Zebian PvE soloable content. All right, so then here is an image of what looks to be the new area of Carries, and we do have all of the maps kind of laid out here. So this is Carries, this is actually Dolavan, this is literally right here is the Golden Isle where the Golden City is currently located, though that's going to probably be changing with the new update and the wipe, which reminds me that it's probably a good time to remind everyone about the wipe. So characters and skills and all of the stuff that's on your plots are most likely going to be getting saved. They are going to cover that most likely in an update before everything comes out. But either way, everything is getting wiped because of all the different changes to the topography and the biomes and everything. So they have to kind of generate a new map, and they're not going to place stuff where then it might end up underground. So they're effectively refunding everyone all of their stuff. You're going to be able to make a new character that retains all of your old character's skills and gear, and then you'll be able to come back and go to wherever you are. It seems like we might also be able to transfer our characters to a different server. So if you were on Freya before and you wanted to come to Danu, then you would be able to do that theoretically. Don't hold my word to it. That's more supposition than anything else. We'll have to wait to see what the devs say. But now we do have a couple of pictures of the maps. Unfortunately, these aren't the full pictures, but you can tell that for all of the different regions, they have added a lot more roadways that are expanding out into the different areas. And I think this is just more to control the choke points. But then we also have the Cursed Plains that are now here. This seems to be replacing the more peaceful and serene Lost Souls type of biome that is currently there. Then here is Innisgalia, and you can see how the biomes are kind of changing here as well. And it is just really nice to see the different home valleys are now getting a little bit more specific. So there's going to be some more starter-ish areas that every Home Valley has. And then there's going to be like one or maybe two more unique biomes in the Home Valley. It goes without saying, Home Valleys are starting locations. They are not necessarily places that you should stop at. The progression goes from the Home Valley out to the wildlands and then down into the dungeons right now. And eventually it'll lead to going even further out into like the Rimlands and further than that. But either way, this is in Isgalia. Then we have the province of Ancien. Again, you can see the replacement biomes that are right here. And it's really, really great for all of us who are trying to plan. If you are trying to plan in these specific areas, it does look like we're only getting about half of a picture of everything so far. So hopefully we do get full maps posted before the wipe happens, so all of your clans can actually plan for what's to come and where you're going. But either way, this is the northern area of Ancien. And then right here, we have, again, the northern area of Mary. You can see that the dungeon over here, so this is the famed dungeon now of Zebium Plisson, and that biome has now changed to the Cursed Plains as well. But you can see all the different areas here. And there are actually different, what looks to be different biomes going across here now. So there's a little bit more biome diversity, which is really cool to see. And then lastly, we have a couple of things. We have a couple of things that are worth talking about here. So first and foremost, we have all of the new names of the biomes, right? So all really cool. Next to them, we also get the difficulty ratings. So the Whispering Woods are listed as some of the most difficult, that alongside the Cursed Plains and the Cursed Rocklands. Cursed Rocklands makes sense because Cursed Rocklands are where steel can be located. Whispering Woods, we have yet to see what can be located in the Whispering Woods. And then the Corrupted Plains are just where Zebians lie. But either way, really, really awesome. We can see that there's two different types of quarries that are here. The landmarks are just listed as landmarks still. There is the various different types of factions, which we did get confirmation now that this right here is indeed the Lost Souls. I think we made that guess correctly. It was either that or demons. So good on us. And then we have all the different types of ruins. So we have ancient ruins, then we have Imperium ruins, and then we have border fortresses. So it's interesting to me that it has it listed as border fortresses. I know that these are just gates going to other areas, but maybe that means eventually border fortresses will be things that potentially players can control, maybe. But then we have the ancient ruins and the Imperium ruins. We'll do videos on these, so don't worry if you have absolutely no idea what those mean. And then we also got a couple of new map icons that are listed here. Now, for something that I am very excited to see, let me direct your attention up to this nice little L key. This, to me, looks like we are getting a mail system in Pax Dei. This is the first time that we've seen it. I am so incredibly excited for it. This has shown up in a couple of the different screenshots from this week, and this is awesome. So one of the major, not complaints, but requests, I believe, from early access so far is being able to message people in game and not be so reliant on Discord. They're never going to fill the role of Discord, but being able to send mail in game is huge. I love this. I don't think this is a notification style thing as well, because one, it's a new key, and then two, the notification bell is over here. So this is really, really great and something that I'm super excited for. Let me know down in the comments what you hope this icon means for our futures in playing Pax Dei. Next, this is just more screenshots of all of the various areas that exist. This is the Whispering Woods. So this should be a tier 4 or some of the most difficult areas in the biome. I find it interesting. These trees almost look like they could be scalable or climbable at one point with how the branches are, but unfortunately we don't see any of the mobs that might be located here, but still amazingly large trees. Then here are just a couple more images of the Cursed Plains, and this is just kind of the new images of of Lavadon and the pathway that is now being put in so that it cannot be blocked. And that is almost everything that we had to talk about, but there's another incredibly important thing. Last but not least, we do have something that easily could be looked over in some of these pictures, but we have 3 new spells, and we're going to play again the Guess That Spell game. Now, it goes without note that all 3 of these are divine magic, and I find it almost interesting to think about why we've only been seeing new spells from the divine magic section. I do think that part of the reason for this is because, as we know with the knighthoods, they may or may not be kind of affected by the parish system, which is the religious system in game, i.e. divine magic. So maybe because we are getting a parish system with more expanded divine magic, that's why we're seeing all of these new divine magic spells. But it's time to guess what we think these are. Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm thinking that this one right here is definitely going to be some kind of movement spell. You have the 3 lightning bolts next to someone's foot who is actively running, it looks like. This one right here is a little bit more interesting. I could see it a couple of different ways. There is a heart located inside of an hourglass, so maybe that is some kind of heal over time, or maybe it's some kind of stun spell. I have no idea. And then the last one right here, it looks like a thunderbolt with a gust of wind. I don't think this one's going to be a movement spell. Maybe it's some kind of like instant damage spell, or maybe it's a knockback or something that stuns and knocks back or something like that. But either way, very, very cool to see. Now we have, it looks like 5 confirmed new spells that are coming in the autumn update. These 3 and then the 2 from last week's update as well. But that is all that we have to talk about today for the PAX Friday review. I hope all of you thoroughly enjoyed it. There were so many screenshots to go over. If you made it all the way to the very end, pat yourself on the back. We'll be back at it again next week for the PAX Friday review. We do stream every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can check us out on either Twitch or here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe so you can get notified when we go live or when any of our videos get published as well, and share with any of your friends. It definitely helps spread the word about our small startup channel. I will see you in the next video. And until next time, I'm Altai the Professional Gamer.